Steve, it is awesome to see you. How are you doing?
Thanks, man. Pretty amazing. Been a couple great weeks in a row.
What's been good? What's been good the last couple of weeks?
The Bill Burr comparisons mainly. So I get that now quite often, which is quite a compliment since, grew up in the same town and watch a study. This came up yesterday in a big talk, and they're like, man, how'd you look, who do you follow? What speakers? I go, I don't follow speakers. I watch comedians. So that was pretty awesome. The book obviously has been, a big hit. Getting the feedback from strangers around the country, around the world is pretty incredible to see. Just my crazy thoughts in a book and how, dramatically it's made an impact on people has been pretty amazing.
So I'm going to make a pitch. I want you to do the audio version of the book. Are you going to do an audio version of the book?
It's already up.
It's already up there? So I didn't need to read it. I completely missed it because I've got it on the Kindle, and that's where I'm going to go to notes.
Kindle, Audible, paperback.
Did you read the audio? Did you read the Audible version? Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So that was a miss on my end, and lack of research from a sales perspective. I don't want that to come up in my sales DNA.
Yeah. No, it's on there. So it wasn't an Audible mess something up on day one, so it wasn't up until like 2:00 or something, but yeah, it's up there.
I just completely missed it. All right. Well, we'll get to it. Question for me. Why Bob Ross?
He is one of my maybe top two favorite humans, right? Him and Larry David. And, I just remember growing up and watching him and then getting reacclimated to him when a couple of these documentaries came out recently. And then realizing what he actually taught and how he taught it, which is pretty incredible. Most people don't even know, that there was somebody else before Bob Ross. But when you explain to people who Bob Ross is and his icon, of pop culture, this is a guy who got, millions of people on a Saturday, right, to sit in their house and watch him paint on public television. And they didn't paint, and they couldn't paint, and they had no interest in painting, and they were fixated to the TV. And you tell the story and they're like, what? You're like, yeah, this dude was like one of the first real influencers, right? Not these idiots on TikTok. Real influencer. And it's funny because you look at the history, he didn't invent painting. He didn't create this style of painting, which is called Alaprine. That's hundreds and hundreds of years old. But there was a guy on TV before Bob Ross named Bill Alexander, a German guy. And we all know how Germans teach, right? Very lovingly and patiently. And nobody watched. And so Bob, became his sort of protege, but he taught it in a much different style and manner and way. And one of the quotes that I read on YouTube, right? There's a Bob Ross documentary if anybody wants to watch it. I found this lady, and she wrote this in probably 2008. And Bob passed away young, right? 52, cancer, July 4th, 1985. And she wrote this 2008, and it said, Bob Ross didn't paint to show you how good of a painter he was. He painted to show you how good of a painter you could be. And that's why, I embody this bumper sticker, what would Bob Ross do? So that's sort of how it all started.
I've told you the quote, one of the quotes that you've got in here from that article in an article in the Atlantic. If art teachers were all like Ross, no one would fail. No one would feel ashamed to show their work. No one would dread coming to art class. He didn't paint to show you how good. So this is the build on that piece. Yeah. He didn't paint to show you how good of a painter he was. He painted to show you how good of a painter you could be.
Yeah, I might have gotten that exactly right. Pretty good.
You did. You nailed it. You nailed it. You just got the second part of it. Well, the whole quote. Why do we struggle with this idea of failure in learning?
Yeah, it's the way we're brought up, right? And this goes into the whole detaching from outcomes thing, right? Like I gotta have an outcome. I gotta have success. I gotta learn something. I gotta get the quiz right. No, you don't. No, you don't. There's a lot of benefits to failing. Adam Grant, Brady, one of my friends at CO, she gave me this book to read, Think Again. And in the book, Adam talks about the only way you really learn the truth about something is to be wrong. And, that's not probably the exact quote, but it's amazing to me. Like, okay, I screwed up that chicken. Well, okay, maybe I cooked it wrong. So this is not correct. So now I'm going to keep doing it until I get it correct. I put it in at 350 instead of 325. And that's the same with business and sales. But, we've been made to feel like, a leper of society, right? If you fail or you screwed something up or you didn't sell something, and, laughing about it to me is the best medicine. Like, how you royally messed up. Like, you see it sometimes with really self-aware athletes, who you'll see it within the stars, right? It's not the scrubs, it's the stars, right? Who strike out on 3 pitches, right? And, Ohtani or Aaron Judge or one of these guys, it's like, the hell are you swinging at? What's wrong with you? They don't break, clubhouses and destroy, equipment. Those are the guys who play golf on the weekend, right? Who throw their club into the lake, right? Who are, 79 handicaps, but they don't practice, they don't play, they don't have a coach, they don't go to golf tech, and they get mad, right? When they shoot 140. Like, no, you should be failing because it will tell you have to get better at putting. So it's just an interesting dichotomy how we view these things.
How about this piece on self-awareness? So like you're going through this, you're talking about like reflection and feedback, and why do people struggle with self-awareness and reflection? And
this came up too. I was doing a big thing for John Deere dealership this week, and we did sales DNA tests for all the guys. And this one guy was like, look, I don't even need to see the results on the best. Then we made a big joke about it, right? The whole time. And he's not even the best. He's not the best salesperson, but he thinks he is. And so I sort of made this joke in front of all the guys. And then my friend, we'll just call him Doug. He's never met a 3-pointer, right? He hasn't loved, but I can't remember him ever making a 3-pointer. But if the ball comes within 3 square feet of him, it's going up, right? In his mind, he's Steph Curry. Like, that's not helping you, bro. So talk about having no self-awareness. Like, stop shooting. But these are the people who think, again, they're God's gift to the world about anything. And how could you ever learn if you have no self-awareness? I mess up a lot, right? I'm mostly wrong, but it's fine. But at least I admit it. And I wasn't like that younger. Like, I always had to be right. I was never wrong. And, still parts of that creep in sometimes, but you just have to take a step back and realize you don't know everything. And that was a big learning lesson, even in the book, writing the book. Like, man, I have so much to learn. I barely even scratched the surface.
Where did you start to kind of feel this or get that? Like, it was an experience that you ran into where you're like, maybe I don't know what I don't know. What was?
No, I thought you were going to go another way, but I just thought of this too, where I sort of had this first like contrarian thought type of thing. And back in my Aflac days at the kickoffs, we'd always have to give our projections, right? Which, our forecast, sales forecast. I mean, talk about an oxymoron, right? Jumbo shrimp, right? Classy Yankee fan, right? This polar opposites. But
man, wow, you chose violence today.
I remember. I remember. I was on a plane with a Yankees fan. That's why. He's like, we're winning the world. So no, it's funny. We used to do these projections. We had this big Happy Gilmore check that we would have to write what do we want our bonus to be for this year, right? And I'm like Andy, who's my California time for Africa. Andy, whether you make up a number or I make up a number, it doesn't matter because it's all made up. How do I know what my bonus is? What kind of question is that? So you write it on the check. What do I care? It was every year, and I was lucky and thankful and humble and worked really hard to pretty much be the top of agent every year. And I would just tell Andy, like, it's going to be a lot. We're going to help a lot of families protect themselves from financial ruin. That's all I care about. And every day I'm going to go out and try to do that. I don't know what the number's going to be, but this is what's been taught to me in pretty much every sort of selling role I've had, leadership role. And it defies logic. There's no other part of the world or the universe that this actually works in. You know, rooting for a tie in a Super Bowl is weird, but that's what I was rooting for. Because you can't root for Philly, obviously. You know, Mahomes, right? We've had enough with the go, conversation. Call yourself. But you think about in the locker rooms before the game, Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni were not assigning the number of yards Saquon Barkley needed or how many receiving yards, right? DeAndre Hopkins needed. None of this happens in the real world. None. They just execute plays, and the team that executes best wins, which is what happened. And Philly destroyed Kansas City because they made one mistake the whole game. Kansas City made a ton of mistakes execution-wise. Philly made one. That's why they won. Not because of some goal. They had the same goal. Not because of some quota. Hey, Jalen Hurts, we need 222.222 yards today. That's not what gets guys to win games. And that's what's been done to salespeople for, 100 years. I just don't get it. So all that stuff is sort of the impetus behind why I wrote the book.
So, but is there something, and we could go deep on a number of different things. It's all right to curse and swear on the podcast. So you just go. First off, I'm a lifelong Islander fan, a lifelong Jets fan, and I can't stand anything that comes from the part of the world that you come from. So we're just going to get that out there. And that is my classless. I'm not a huge baseball fan. That's my classless inner Yankee coming out. So look at this. Two people from completely different spaces can kind of come together.
By the way, nice post by the Jets thanking Aaron Rodgers for his leadership. Are you out of your leader? That he can't spell lead. He is one of the worst leaders I've ever seen. Comes to a new team and doesn't go to OT. Are you out of your mind? So it's really funny when you see, these other horrible leaders trying to fake. Whoa, well, thank you, Aaron, right? Just let him go. Don't post anything. Just be glad he's gone. But it's really funny that, you've had to deal with this Jet stuff for decades. The same as the Cowboys, right? You always look at the top, right? When there's dysfunction in an organization, it's always the top. I mean, almost. And you know it with both of those franchises.
I've put a tweet out there to my 5 followers. Actually, I've got a little bit more than 5 followers, but I think 5 people saw it. But I put a tweet out there. I'm like, look, I'm done with the Jets until they either change ownership or bring me in as a leadership consultant to help them work through some of the challenges that they're going into as an organization. But I see the green and white and I see the excitement. Like I see Aaron Glenn coming back in to the organization and it gives me hope. And this is one of the challenges with unscheduled positive reinforcement. It is very addicting and gets you into, gambling and all kinds of things.
Yep. Hey, you and Larry David have a, commonality. You're both diehard Jets fans. So you had something right.
Well, and so here's a good example of something that kind of ties into the book and building revenue teams. Name a Jets quarterback that was ever developed inside the organization who created really amazing things. Name a quarterback developed inside the organization who did something inside that organization.
There's only one, Chad Pennington.
And isn't that?
I mean,
you're right. He is. And how did he get exited? Do you remember?
No. So Miami, I know that.
Yeah. So they brought Favre in.
Oh,
another Green Bay quarterback, and then Pennington goes to Miami, and so for all the Jets and Dolphins fans and sport and football fans out there, you're welcome. We're going into this. For everybody else, we're going to get back into the sales stuff here pretty quick. But what ended up happening in that situation is you had a guy who was willing to develop himself, who went out there and developed himself, and then created something and then was left by the team. I mean, granted, Pennington's shoulder wasn't there and he couldn't get the ball down as much. But he's still a smart quarterback who could make decisions, and then came back the following year and knocked the Jets out of the playoffs. They didn't make it into the playoffs. Favre took, again, lack of leadership, wanted to keep his Iron Man thing going, torn bicep and still played, and went from winning a number of games early in the season to not winning anything. And they couldn't get into the playoffs. And I think that, so the tie-in in this whole piece is we are out there looking for leadership and get lost. And we have people who get promoted as a leader, whether it's a Rodgers or whoever, or even some of the people that you see on social media where everybody jumps in and gives the big thumbs up on their post and says, "Oh, that's amazing." And the reality is they're not actually working in the real world in that environment. And that kind of stuff. So anyway, thanks for getting me fired up and pissed off today.
It's you said something too that triggered me. You have to be responsible for your own career. You cannot leave it in the hands of your employer.
Yes.
And there's a crazy stat. You probably know this one, but companies spend more money on coffee than they do on training their salespeople. Coffee.
Yeah.
Like coffee.
Yeah, well, it's because we watch Glenn Ross. Cliff is for closer, so I'm just going to go ahead and...
Yeah, thanks for getting me fired up. That came up in my talk because I show, this. By the way, Daniel Pink, another inspiration of mine, but in To Sell is Human, they cite the study, and where I see it in the book, but, what's the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word salesperson? And, you already know all the world. There's, pushy, asshole, whatever, right? You know all the words. But I had to get Daniel Pink's permission to put that in the book, right? That I can't have my publisher. I put it in. My publisher goes, "You can't. What are you doing? This is copywriting." They go, "No, I found it on Google. What do you mean?" They go, "Yeah, that's how it works. You need to get his permission." I'm like, "How the hell am I going to get Daniel Pink's permission?" She goes, "You're in sales. You'll figure it out." I'm like, that was a great
response.
Thanks a lot. So I did figure it out. So I have an email from Daniel Pink who says, "Hey, Steve, thanks for asking. You can use it. Cite this page and To Sell is Human. By the way, love the name of the book." So what's cool about Daniel and being a recovering attorney and sharing, again, this study, we have to undo all the crap, right, that has been done to make salespeople, right, on the level, and you probably know this one, of the least trusted professions on the planet. It's salespeople, attorneys, and politicians, right? What a crew. But what causes this is these out of touch leaders, if you want to call it that, who are incentivizing their salespeople to just sell whatever they can to whomever they can, wherever they can, whenever they can. This is not good. But hey, we hit the made up quota. I mean, the long-term damage these leaders are doing to their companies, it's astronomical. And they think they're doing a good thing by rewarding salespeople to sell whatever they can to whoever comes within 3 square feet of them. You're a parent. I asked this question too. Do you have a girl? You
2 boys.
2 boys. Okay. This doesn't quite work for boys. So listeners, if you have a daughter, let's say a teenage daughter, or you had one at one time, should she date whoever the hell wants to date her? And I think you know the answer. So just because somebody wants to buy something from you does not mean you should sell it to them. This is the polar opposite of what's taught to salespeople. Sell anything, anytime, anywhere. These are bad deals. They're bad terms. They're unprofitable. That they tax the service team. But the leader of the company thinks it's a good thing, and the sales manager does because they hit some dumbass quota. What? It's so backwards what has been done for decades. So hopefully somebody will get it and think to themselves, maybe there's a different way.
Why do we let this continue to persist? Why does it continue to persist out there? Everything you're saying makes sense. I mean, people have read the books, like the Daniel Pink To Sell is Human, or yours, Sales Contrarian, like your people will go through it, but we fall back into the crap. Why do we fall back into the crap? Why does it persist?
It's conditioning. It's the same reason, people stay, in bad relationships or always pick the wrong dude or what a girl or whatever. We just fall back into these habits. And it's funny, James Clear, who's also incredible and, probably my favorite book of all time, right? Atomic Habits, talking about the importance of doing right what you need to do every single day so it becomes a habit and not just some wish or some run of the mill you thing, right? And someone asked this to maybe a week ago. Well, we all know it's only 21 days. I go, no, that just sells books. That's just Malcolm Gladwell selling books. The real study is from the European Journal of Social Psychology, and it takes 66 consecutive days to form a habit. 66. So if you don't do something for 66 days, you will fall back into doing it. So every now and then, a leader or a sales manager or someone will go, okay, I promise I'm not going to put pressure on my people for a month. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to see what happens, right? And that shit's all out the window in about 43 hours, right? They cannot stop. And so unless it goes the 66 days, it's all back in. And salespeople, they just deal with it, right? It's just like, you just deal with it without saying anything. I was coming from Richmond to Pittsburgh, and there was a guy at the bar, like for breakfast today, right? At the restaurants. And he's got his phone on, speaker, loud, Zoom or so. There's 6, 7 people here. You're totally oblivious. Like what, we don't need to hear that, but nobody would say anything, right? But I said something. We just fall into these. I can't say anything. How dare I? No, yes, you can. You have to put yourself in situations that don't feel right, or else you'll just do the same thing. And all those other people around you were pissed. Someone was trying to do work. Someone was talking to his wife, but nobody would say anything because we're creatures of habit, and I would never say anything. So there's a lot of things like that in sales that people are so conditioned to do. And, the robotics of magic sales methodologies and stuff just drives me insane. Like, no, you have to be malleable. You have to call audibles. You have to be a human who sees and reacts, not this old school 1962, selling methodology that predates the moon landing. Not here's how to handle objections. They say this and you say that, and they say this and you say that. It's very much like football, to go back to that, where they leave, right, the ability to call a play in the hands of the quarterback when the quarterback comes up to the line of scrimmage, and they can see, holy crap, there's 9 dudes who are up in the box to stop the run. They know we're running the ball. A robotic-minded salesperson who follows magic sales methodologies will still run the ball into 9 people, and they lose 8 yards. Today's salesperson will call an audible and go, maybe we should do something different here. And they do, and they have a 73-yard pass, right? So we're so conditioned to just respond to objections with this feel, felt, found, or yes ladders, right? You just get them. Yeah, you like chicken wings, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So you'll buy from me. Yeah. What is being taught? It's just crazy. So be different, y'all. Don't be a robot.
Be you. Like just be you in the engagement that you have with someone, and be comfortable with the idea of, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Like, nobody out there is going to ask questions the way that I ask questions. It just isn't, it is not going to happen.
Yeah.
They didn't run into situations where questions were kind of beaten out of them in one way, shape, or form. They did not grow up in the areas that I grew up in. They don't have the same experience. And you can't manufacture the caring that comes out in both the eyes and the ears when listening to each of those things and reacting to how people respond. So getting into this robotic thing, like, mutual action plans or upfront contract or any of that other bullshit is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, so Steve, if we do this on this call, does that mean that you're going to go ahead and move this forward to the decision maker?
Yeah, this happened. I told this story maybe on a podcast. It's like maybe up long. It was a very large software company. We're a very small fish, and I would never say the name of them, right? Just out of respect for them, but it rhymes with rub spot. Okay. So we're on with them, and I go, I won't say the name of the training company, but it's like 60 years old. Don't blank me, right? And you get it. You know what I mean?
Did they try to put you into a submarine?
Yeah. So, well, don't blank me, right? So the guy goes, well, I looked you guys up and, we're a blank training shop here. Like we all learned that, right? I go, listen, Boston, whatever his name was, do not do this to me. If you try to do this to me, the call is done. 3 seconds later, he goes, so Steve, if we'd come to an agreement today on terms, do you agree to move forward? I go, are you human? Do you believe you have a pulse? Do you understand? I just told you not to do what you just did. This call is over.
Good.
They can't even control, right? It's this robotic script reminding muscle memory. It's taught and companies are paying for it.
It's mind numbing.
Paying for it. But that's why I always go back to Daniel Pink's study. That's why people hate salespeople. You know about, maybe you don't. Did I tell you my new buddy? Do you remember American Gladiators?
Yeah.
So I'm friends with
we talked about you met. So if I remember the story, you met. He was in there and he said he wanted to get into speaking, right?
Yeah. When I reached out to him after the 30 for 30, cold, just blind on Facebook. Cool. Now we're close buddies. So I saw him. I stopped by Irvine when I was up there speaking, just to meet him and give him the book and everything. And Darren, he's the nicest guy ever. And he goes, we love to say, he's a very affable guy, charismatic, right? And he goes, you can sell ice to an Eskimo, right? And everyone knows this. And I might have told you this before, but I did this LA Live thing with like the LA Tribune, and brought me on to introduce me. And she's like, hey, everybody, this is Steve Heroux. Okay, this guy, you're going to love him. By the way, he reminds me of my husband. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, right? So like 15 minutes later into the session, I forgot she had told me this and somebody brought this up. And I said, selling ice to an Eskimo doesn't make you a great salesperson. It makes you an asshole. It was it told me that, and I see her in the Zoom. She's like, I'm like, but it's true. And Darren, I told him this, and he starts laughing. He goes, man, you're right. Why would you sell something to someone that they can get free? I go, but that's the perception of sales. That's why the Glenn Rosses and boiler rooms and the little Napoleonic felon from Wall Street, right? That's why people hate salespeople, because they glorify these criminal, fraud charlatans. And that's what they think sales is about. And it's not at all. But that's what I'm trying to change.
So let's talk about how to change it. Like how do we change it? So someone's listening and they're out there, they're saying, all right, this sounds all good. I have no idea how the heck I'm going to go in front of my board and say, you know what? We're not going to have quotas anymore. We're just going to go ahead and have people go out there and do their jobs and believe that if we have them doing the right job, good things are going to happen because we've designed effectively. So how does someone have that kind of conversation or start to gain the confidence and believe in being able to have that kind of conversation with their teams of teams, people who are investing?
When we talked before about taking control of your own career and doing what you want, that's sort of what I mean. And you can't really fight City Hall. So let's say you get assigned some idiotic quota by someone who has no idea, right, how sales work. You can still do what you need to do every day, which you and I have talked about DPIs versus KPIs, right? What are the daily performance indicators that I can do? What are the quality at bats that I can execute today to give me the best chance to get on base, to give me the best chance to get more runs? It's not focusing on hitting home runs, right? It's executing what you can control today. And until salespeople or any people let go of this attachment to the outcome versus, right, what I need to do today, it will never work. And that's why in golf, I don't know if you play golf, but you see people, on the weekend and they're like, I'm going to hit this is going 275 right down the middle. Okay. And it's dead right. Because when you try to do something, you get less of that thing. And when salespeople try to sell stuff, that's when the commission breath comes out. So if you don't try to sell stuff and just execute, just do the best you can, some people will buy, some people won't buy. And that's it. And sometimes you'll have a good month, and sometimes you'll have a bad month. And sometimes you don't know when it's going to be good. And sometimes you don't know when it's going to be bad. But you have some out of touch leader going, how much are you going to sell this year? Gee, really?
So you talk about in the book, and you highlight this in this DPI, KPI discussion, you get into leading versus lagging indicators. So let's help people understand the difference between leading and lagging indicators. What's the difference?
So inputs, outputs, right? I can't control the output. I can only control the input.
Yep.
In baseball, right? Runs, that's the output, right? That's the KPI, that's lagging, right? Did I win the game? Well, who cares about that? You can win games and play horribly because you had one guy who hit a grand slam in the night. That doesn't mean you executed well. So in baseball, you can control yourself as a batter, as a hitter. You cannot control the umpires. You can't control the pitcher. You can't control the fielders. You can control whether or not you swing at good pitches. That's all you can control. And sometimes you swing at a good pitch and you hit the crap out of it, but it's right at the shortstop. That doesn't mean you didn't execute. But in sales, you're told you failed. And hey, Mike, have you ever considered tennis? That's not good, right? Because now you're going to go back up in the next time in the third inning, and you're going to try harder because you've had pressure put on you and you got called a loser. So you're going to prove that you're not and strike out on 3 pitches. And that's what happens to salespeople. So it's all about detachment, right? From the outcome, letting go of what you can't control anyway. That's the thing. If salespeople learn that, everything would change for them. If golfers stop trying to freaking kill the ball, it would go farther. Are you listening, golfers? But they don't, right? It's like, I got to swing hard to make it go far. Nobody on the PGA Tour does that. You might want to watch, right? They swing smooth and slow. And what a surprise, they're in fairway almost every time. But that's hard for people to get.
And it's funny because these numbers repeat themselves in a number of different places. I picked up a URL, fairwayshit.com. And so I play more golf than any human probably should play these days anyhow. And I use it as a walking meditation. So I get out there and I walk, not as much right now just because things are kind of crazy and the time and the sun is still going down a little bit early, but always hit. I couldn't believe I could get the URL. Well, the reason I could get the URL is it has the word shit in the URL.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. So So we create a brand called Fairways Shit, and because it's a shit metric. And what ends up happening is a lot of people will focus on it. Doesn't matter how many fairways you hit. The bigger number is greens in regulation, right? If I can get my greens in regulation to a certain number, I'm going to play better golf as long as I'm able to putt in that kind of environment. But there are numbers that we chase for whatever reason because some expert goes and says, this is the number that you're supposed to do. The one that I love is this number of dials number. You're going to make is 60 dials, 800 dials. You got to have however many opportunities, whatever they are. How do you know? Based on whose number? Based on what number? Based on my number? Based on your number? Based on the market? Based on the place I'm operating in? But we as leaders go in there and we think we can manufacture these numbers to create a specific outcome or math and then beat people over the head with the
They
numbers.
do it. They go bad. They go, you just reverse engineer. Oh, that's all. That's just right. It's just cool. I didn't know that. Thanks. No, sometimes I made 125 dials a day for 2 years, right? When I was
Okay.
every day, 125 at least, right? And bad days was 100 and good days was probably 150.
Okay.
I remember this because some days I wouldn't make an appointment because people weren't there. It's not like I dialed 150 times and I talked to 47 people and they all told me to fuck off. That's not what happened. But what would happen is other agents in the office would make 3 calls all day, would get lucky because somebody answered, and that person, their sister, just got sick, really, really badly, but they had Aflac and it saved her. And she told her sister, man, you're going to have Aflac for your employees. And this agent happened to call and she happened to pick up. So they made the appointment. They would get the high five. I would get, what happened today? What? And those 130, 125, 110, whatever calls I made, I left messages. Sometimes people knew I called. Sometimes I just called them at the wrong time. But I was laying this groundwork, right, for future success. The person who made 3 dials got rewarded for bad behavior. And this is why when you look at these ridiculous metrics, you have to measure the input, which is the effort, which is the dials, not the output, because now you're rewarding bad behavior. And it's the same thing in anything, any sport, right? Same batter swings at a ball at his eyes and hits a bleeder over second base. Hey, great job. No, what are you doing? Why are you swinging at a ball over your head? And it rewards that behavior. But it's always been done this way. And that's why companies, when they reward appointments set, that's got very little to do, right, with the actual person and the skill set, right, of being able to make appointments over the phone. You have to have the data of, did they talk to a qualified prospect? And here, that number, okay, we can get better at training, coaching, all that kind of stuff. But you can't look at a lagging indicator of who made more appointments today, me or Bob. You'd rather have Bob 3 dials a day, but that's how they do it. So it's a mindset shift that people have been stuck in this mode for decades.
It's why Mets fans would love to have more Buckners out there.
Yeah, I remember 86 pal.
So all right, let's talk about gamification and some of this stuff that you get into and the whole idea of gamifying things in this context, which is something the rep can control. They can figure out what version of the game they want to play and then how they're going to score it. So how do you think about gamification and scoring?
So it's fun. Remind me to tell you the fishing guide story about this. So we call it daily 100.
Yep.
So we assign point value, right, to the DPIs. So for example, number of dials today, number of thank you notes written. Did I post on LinkedIn? Did I write my thank you? Like I said, I write my thank you. Did I ask for referrals? Those types of things. Did I do my 15 minutes of study today? Did I role play today? Those 5 or 6 things any salesperson can do and control and execute. And so those have different point values. So, dialing a phone is 1 point. We're doing role play. Maybe that's 10 points or 15 points. Writing thank you notes is 5 points. But none of those things are revenue based or selling based, right? And sometimes maybe they want to put them in, but it still doesn't help drive the needle. It's what are you doing that you can control that will lead to better outcomes. And I fish now as opposed to golf. And I was smallmouth fishing in Minnesota and smallmouth bass. And I met the guide there and it's like 5:30 in the morning and I gave him $100. And the guides are like $400 or $500 a day. So I gave him $100. He goes, what are you doing? I'm like, tipping you? He goes, We haven't eaten. What do you mean? We haven't even fished yet. I go, are we going to be together for the next 8 hours? He goes, yep. I go, are you going to work hard? He goes, hell yeah. Are you going to help me change all my flies out? Of course. You're going to help me net these fish? Yeah. That's the tips for it. It's like, range froze. So we stayed out for like 10 hours extra. We caught 45 fish. I mean, crazy amounts. But I can't control the fish, okay? I can control where I cast, when I cast, what the water speed is, if I put it under that rock, what fly we use, what's the cloud cover. I can't control if a trout is going to bite the damn fly. And one of these casts, he goes, hey, can you put the fly like over that rock, under that branch, beside that spider web? I'm like, anything else, And I did, right? And fly fishing's hard. And I put this fly, within 6 inches of where he would have put it. And I was so excited. He's like, what happened? I go, did you see that cast? He goes, what? Did you see the cast? He goes, oh, I thought you had a fish. I go, no. It was just an amazing cast. Then he started to get it. And when I would put a fly where I wanted, he was high-fiving me.
Cool.
He had a total shift, right, in the way that he thought. And so that's sales. And if you don't enjoy the process and you don't take pride in executing what you can do, regardless of the outcome, it becomes a horrible experience. And fishing would suck if you didn't catch a fish and you blamed yourself and you suck. You take the joy out of it. And in my decades of doing this, I can't tell you how many salespeople have told me my company has made me hate sales. I used to love sales. Now I hate it. How could that be good? And on what planet would their leader think that a miserable, beaten, abused salesperson is going to sell a lot? It just defies all logic. So those are some of the things when we talk about gamification. You make it fun. It's fun to put a fly. Like, it's fun to do a great presentation. It's fun. I don't care if somebody buys what I'm going to extract money out of their bank account. I mean, what am I going to do? But you have to enjoy the thing. And if you like what you do, you'll be better at it. I can promise y'all listening, people who hate to cook, yeah, their food sucks. But try it out at home. You go try it. You tell me how it is. There has to be joy in what we do. And hence back to, right, one of my idols with Bob. He called it the joy of painting. It wasn't the anxiety of painting. That wouldn't work. But you have to have joy in the journey of sales. And if not, what are you even doing it for?
Where does your joy come from when it comes to sales?
It's funny though, the responses from all these people with the book. I mean, like, total strangers. That's what gives me joy. The guys I was with at John Deere, all the last couple of days, like, man, you never thought about that. Like, I'm going to try that. That's what gives me joy. People that I met this guy, still working hard doing some stuff with the military and, with my million veteran mission. Hopefully I can get this off the ground soon. But I met this guy. He's an Army vet, 25 years. I met him at an event in Dallas, and he was like, he heard me speak or say something. He's like, dude, can you teach me something? I'm like, Mike, his name's Mike. I'm like, Mike, we're at a bar. We don't want to work. He goes, just give me some nugget, right? Can you give me something? I'm like, okay, what do you want to learn? He goes, what about objections? I'm like, okay, what do you want to know? He goes, well, how do you handle objections? Because everyone has their stupid, you already know, there's a million. You got to isolate it, whatever, right? So I said, it's easy, Mike. It's two letters. He goes, what do you mean? I go, give me an objection. Man, you're really expensive. Okay. Man, you know what? I'm probably going to talk to my wife about this. Okay. You know what? I'm not quite ready. Can you call me back in the second quarter next year? Okay. He goes, that's all you do? I go, that's all I do. Yes. So I get a LinkedIn message like 2 days later from Mike. I show it to him. He's like, bro, you fucking work good. I can't believe it. And he's a coach consultant, like, many, and helping veterans, ironically, with their ADD and PTSD. And he said, this guy goes, man, Mike, you're a lot of money, dude. Like, I don't, that's a lot of money. And Mike's like, that's right. And he didn't, and then the guy like 3 seconds later goes, well, you know what? Well, you're probably a lot of money because you're probably worth it, right? He goes, yeah. Because you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. This is like 3 minutes. That's what gives me I don't care what we sell or how much revenue. I don't even know what we do no idea. But those are the things and why I do what I do. Because somebody, I learned something, which I never thought I'd teach it, anything. So that's what gives me the most joy.
Talk about the million veteran mission.
Oh, yeah. So we have so many incredible heroes that, we both know, and in the company and outside the company and clients. And I want to teach 1 million vets how to sell. So it'll all be donated, granted, this kind of thing. And I've got a lot of irons in the fire trying to figure out the logistics of it, though. That's the difficult part, and dedicating the time to it. But I have a lot of people willing to support. So that's sort of my idea to give back. And if I could be, 1/1000th of the guy Gary Sinise is, that's I'd be doing something right. So I've already done some stuff with vets in the past, and I'm friends with many of them from the training we did, but there's nothing official yet, but I'm working on it. So if anybody has any ideas or thoughts,
Steve, awesome conversation. Couple things. If you know somebody who can help Steve in this million veteran mission, please connect with them. If you are looking to think different, do different, be different when it comes to sales, read the Sales Contrarian. Steve, where can people find out more about what you're working on, and where do you want to send folks?
LinkedIn's, one of the places where we really try to contribute a lot. The salescontrarian.com has got a bunch of stuff on there about the book and things that I'm going to be doing, adding to the blog, YouTube channel. Those types of things are all coming. And I know, we've talked a lot and met a lot and worked together. And, one last thing for folks, and part of why I do what I do and this accidental discovery, right, of sales DNA, which you already know, it's just the most incredible tool. And so if you've ever, taken an assessment for, thought about, would this be helpful for you? It's one of the tools we use and help coach and guide and teach salespeople, right? What are the things that are holding them back? And it allows us as leaders, right, to build training and coaching them individually. And that's probably a good thing for us to end on, since you're a golfer. Everybody knows what a hole-in-one is, right? There have been about 1,300 holes-in-one on the PGA Tour. But the holy grail in golf is shooting 59, right? 59 in one round. And only 13 players, 13 have done that. But there was one guy who not only shot 59, he shot 58. You know who it is?
Is it Duvall? Was it it's whoever's got the real loopy swing, is it?
Jim Furyk.
Jim Furyk, excuse me. There we go. Yeah, the loopy swing.
Yeah, so that's polite, but David Faraday, who is a golf announcer for anyone who knows it, he said Jim Furyk's golf swing is about as graceful as watching an octopus fall out of a tree. It's horrific, but he's the only human to ever draw breath to shoot 59 and 58. Therefore, every golfer swings like Jim Furyk, yes?
No.
Oh, funny? How many do, Mike?
I know of one.
One.
Yeah.
This, everybody, if you are a leader, please pay attention as we end. You cannot say, swing like me. You cannot do that. And if golfers were told, swing like Jim, they quit golf on about the third hole. You have to teach people to swing like them, not like you. And so many salespeople are told on these ride-alongs or shadowing or whatever, just go and watch Bill and do what Bill does. No, he ain't Bill and Bill ain't him. So you have to help people develop their own swing so they can build confidence, which will lead to competence. And that's why DNA is so critical, because all of us have our own little unique things we're good at and maybe not so great at. But if we don't know what they are, we can't fix them. And if people try to do this one size fits all crap, which is what sales training has been for 100 years, it would be akin to having either one golf swing or just one magic set of clubs. It's just one set for all, right? Just same size, same lying, everything's the same. And that's just not the case. So think about that, y'all, as we leave our time together. Teach people how to swing like them, not like you.
Get out there and read the book. I mean, there's so much stuff that we didn't get into that's in the book. I've got pages of notes from the book, and the conversation was better than going through the pages of notes in the book. There is some specific information that Steve gets into around the assessment that breaks down the difference between personality assessments, behavioral assessments, and what's the third one? Personality.
There's aptitudinal, right? Yeah.
Go read the book. If you know somebody who would value this conversation, please share it with them. Let Steve and I know via LinkedIn. The shares help to promote it and get the message out there. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you thinking different but yours?